This little ball changed my life in 8 months. There's many forms of healing and self-care. And for me, it took 45 years to find my transformational tool, golf. Since then, I've been on a life-changing journey of huge self-reflection and transformational healing. Professionally, I've worked for over 25 years with people of all ages to heal both physically and emotionally through body movement. Personally, my own repressed trauma resurfaced quite some time ago. I was really good at recognizing other people's strategies for handling trauma long before I figured out how to handle my own trauma response. Through my own experience, as well as working with others, I've gained firsthand knowledge and insight about how trauma impacts behavior and movement. Trauma is not predictable, and the type of trauma I'm speaking of cannot be seen on the outside. When it resurfaces, it can show up in the most inopportune times. It can incapacitate you and leave you in a chronic state of hypervigilance. But trauma doesn't have to be with a capital T. The trauma effects of small daily traumas, also known as life, can build up to unhealthy levels. Humans are resilient and can have quite remarkable coping and adaptability skills, but these can come at a great cost. What once helped for survival generally doesn't help for thriving. And for me, when I was on, I was on. And when I wasn't, it was bad. I would often hibernate or avoid making a decision, and at worst, self-destruct. Committing to plans in the future was a recipe for disaster. Who knew what state I'd be in the day that came up to show up and follow through on my commitment? Golf has changed all of that for me. Well, I have to laugh because though it's made a real huge impact on me and I've had some really big changes, still the trauma shows up and it can be ugly. Much like the game of golf, the journey has not always been pretty, but there's always a few great shots that keep you coming back. As a lifelong athlete, I used to see golf as a sedentary sport. I just didn't get it. And yet, the first time I completed a full round of golf, I walked off the 18th green into the women's locker room and I bawled my eyes out. Not because I was terrible, and yes, I was terrible, but it wasn't that. You see, trauma is held in our bodies and can be released with movement. That first game of golf tapped into my vast reserve of unhealed trauma. What happened was the repetitive rotational demand of the swing and the patience and persistence of my golf partner, my boyfriend, unlocked the severe trauma tension in my body. Technically speaking, I had so much trauma tension in my body that in order to swing the club, I had to defy the mechanics of the swing. It became clear that I had to teach my body to relax and allow the timing and the tempo for my hips to lead the swing and my shoulders to follow, and the club utilizing gravity in order to have the outcome of a successful and a consistent swing. This is what it looked like. I'm standing on the tee box, and up until this point, I'm swinging the club like a baseball bat. And my boyfriend, with his analytical engineering mind, has been watching the levers of my body that were not resembling anything close to a golf swing. Finally, he couldn't take it anymore. He stepped up behind me, put his hands on my hips, and he led me through the timing of what my body was supposed to do with the swing. What? My athletic body had absolutely no recall of this kind of movement. It was completely foreign to my body. This unlocked something very deep within me. I don't think that the same thing would have happened if I had taken lessons with a golf pro. You see, my relationship gave me a safe space. My body was able to relax, and I had permission and gentle hands-on instruction to elicit a new experience in my body. And then I repeated that movement over and over. More than 100 strokes. As I mentioned, I was terrible, and I got to practice swinging the club over 144 times. And for those of you who know golf, par for 18 holes is 72. Eek. Terrible. Since that first experience, my understanding of the transformational power of golf has deepened. And this little ball and I will start on the first tee box. If we're lucky, the two of us will make the journey of the full 18 holes. It's likely that this ball, and maybe a few others, will not make it the whole way. This relationship demands and it cultivates patience and poise and a keen sense of body awareness and your total presence. And throughout this, the 18-hole journey, you have the possibility of experiencing the entire range of human emotions. I have seen and expressed them all, and yet most of the time I leave with a sense of satisfaction from that one great drive off the tee box or finding my way onto the green from the bunker in just one shot. Golf has given me a fun playground, a sandbox to practice how to shift out of my fight or flight state, to go from surviving to thriving. No matter how bad a particular shot is, there's always the possibility for redemption and renewal. There's always a do-over. There's always an invitation to be present and an invitation to live fully in this moment. I have 6 life lessons that I'm going to share over the next 6 days, and I hope that they impact your journey